Welcome, everybody, to Fergo and the Freak. I am your host, Andrew Ferguson. No, my name's League Freak. That's right. Damn it. Anyway, my name's League Freak, and I'm joined today by the lovely Nadine. How are you, Nadine?
I'm good. How are you, Freaky?
I'm pretty good. I've been unwell the last couple of days. I wasn't sleeping for some reason.
Oh, you don't
Yeah.
have the COVID?
No, I haven't got the COVID or
Okay, good.
anything like that. I just, for whatever reason, I could not sleep. I felt like Jack out of Fight Club.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what? I think you're pumped for tomorrow night's game.
I am. I'm physically and emotionally pumped for the game, and I can't wait for it. And that's what we're doing. We're going to do a preview of all of the games for round 17 in the National Rugby League in 2020, just for anybody that's listening 50 years from now. So, first
Well,
game.
hang on. Before we do
Sorry.
that,
Yeah.
a word from our sponsors.
Oh, yes, our sponsors. Manscaped. Listen, if there's one thing that you need during a pandemic, it's some shaved balls. So if you go to manscaped.com and you put in our promo code, which is NRL, you will get 20% off and free shipping, and you can get that scrote shorn brilliantly. Get the Lawnmower 3.0. It is just like if Tony Stark, right, could make a ball clipper, he would make the Lawnmower 3.0. And yeah, everyone's got to go and get one. Put in NRL, 20% off, free shipping. Go and get it done. How about that?
Done.
All right. So,
On to the good stuff.
the good stuff. Okay. Thursday night, we see the 2020 premiers, the Penrith Panthers. They've got to go up there to the Broncos and be the latest team to kick the ever-loving shit out of them. How do you see this game going?
Very one-sided, Freaky.
Yeah, it's gonna be
It look, I think the same was said last week. It could be anything. It could be a bloodbath. And frankly, I think it will be a bloodbath. um, there's just nothing else to say. The
How?
Broncos are hapless. They're rudderless. They're useless. They're everything less. So
I think you're underselling it.
really,
Yeah.
they're just under sevens would put in more effort. You know, they well actually, and I think that's the key. Under sevens would be out there having fun.
Yeah. They wouldn't
These
be
blokes don't
crying.
look like they're having fun at all,
Yeah.
and they're just in for another world of pain. Frankly, I think for the rest of the season, they're lost. They've just got nothing. So I would be expecting Panthers to well and truly put on a score. I think it's one of those games that most people would expect to see a score as well. So I would suggest anything less than a 30-point differential would be a failed game from a Panthers perspective.
The Panthers have been severely weakened by the loss of Isaiah Yeo. They've brought in Apikoros, Sauerkirk, Capewell, and Viliami Kikau. So hopefully they get by without Yeo. And the Broncos are actually welcoming back Corey Oates, Isaiah Luke, Jesse Arthurs, Payne Haas, and a new dude. I've never heard of him. Pride Peterson Rabat.
Yeah, so he's on
Yeah.
the extended bench. I doubt he'll get a run, but unless there's an injury in the warm-up, which would perfectly sum up the Broncos season, frankly. But yeah, I mean, interestingly, you know, Brodie Croft still not named. So whether on the outer or whether needs to kick up the pants, but something's obviously not right there. But yeah, it's one-way traffic, and that left side of the Panthers will just tear it up all night.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I think Kikau will score like about, I don't know, 12 tries.
12?
Yeah, 12 tries. Well, they're playing against a 12-man Broncos team because anytime somebody breaks the line, Darius Boyd sits down and watches them score. So, you know. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they need to score a 40-plus point win.
Mm-hmm.
I think anything less than that, I agree with you. It would be disappointing, and it would be a bit of a failed contest in terms of where the Panthers are at. And plus, we want to see the Broncos get the wooden spoon. I mean, they've got to, the Panthers have to contribute.
Well, that's true. So I think the only concern from a Panthers perspective is if they do rack up a score this week, how much does that then play on their psyche going in against Parramatta? So, it could be a benefit, or it could be one of those, situations where they end up with an elevated sense of ego, which I think they're actually, as a group, collectively doing quite well to keep a lid on the hype, which has particularly started bubbling away in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of press about them, particularly this week. I feel like every day there's something about, this team has been X amount years in the making, and talked about essentially, Cleary playing against Jerome Luai when they were school kids, at 14 and things like that. And then there was an article talking about, how they were similar to Manchester United, and
oh really,
and then there was I think it was actually the same article where they were talking about Ben Darwin's cohesion data, and and he was obviously saying, well, the reason why that they're so successful now is because they all know each other so well, and it is obviously very similar to the run that Queensland had for such a long period of time in State of Origin, and that's what Penrith are seeing now. So, it's going to be difficult, I think, for the coaching staff to start really keeping a lid and containing the hype from the squad. But tomorrow, definitely, they need to man up.
Yeah, they do. They need to crush the Broncos and really add to their misery. I think that's what we're all hoping for anyway.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Now, Friday night, 6 p.m. This is a really important game. The Knights take on the Sharks. Both teams are 3-2 in their last 5 games. The Knights sit in 7th place. The Sharks sit in 8th place. The Knights have one more competition point, but they've got that bit of a break to the Warriors out who are in 9th place, but they don't want to get on a losing streak, that's for sure. The Knights were terrible last week, absolutely terrible. And I tell you what, Mitchell Pearce. Can we talk about Mitchell Pearce for a second?
Do we have to?
I really want to.
Okay, go.
He's fucking shit.
Comprehensive analysis.
Yeah, that's all that needs to really be said about him. But you know what? They've got a number of injuries and it's hurting them. But I don't know. I think maybe the bubble has just burst, and I'm not a big fan of the Sharks. I think they're a bit of a ramshackle team. Morris is doing a good job coaching them, but I really do believe they should beat the Knights in this one. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think just based off, what's been happening in the last few weeks, I mean, the Knights have not put a back-to-back performance together all season. Mm-hmm. And last week was appalling, what they served up. So the Sharks at least are an effort team. Mm-hmm. I know we say the same thing about the Bulldogs usually as well. So you know that they're going to be in the grind until someone does something stupid. Usually that's Josh Dugan. So, and I just think that they should be too strong for the Knights, despite the fact that this is up in Newcastle. I found it interesting reading through the week that they've come out and said Matt Moylan has played the last 2 weeks with a grade 2 hamstring. Mm-hmm. And I thought, mate, just come out and say that you were owned by Liam Martin and move on.
Yeah.
I agree. Fine.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, he's in that, just injury-prone basket. He's in there with Turbo. He's in there with, Foran. The only thing I say about Foran is his injuries are always different parts of the body. Mm-hmm. But Turbo, obviously we know, and Moylan, their hamstrings are shocking.
Yeah.
And surely he's got to be almost done.
Well, he's 29. And the real problem that I see with him especially is that apart from the fact that his legs aren't very good considering he's a football player, like when he does play, he's not very good. Like he's absolutely, I don't even know a word which is long enough to describe how terrible he is defensively. Bad.
Puss.
Puss. Oh, Jesus.
Puss is a great word.
That is. Oh man, that's a shocking one. But yeah, he's really bad. The thing about Trbojevic, Tom Trbojevic, and we'll talk about him, I guess, in a bit. Like, there's so many people that have been saying, if I was starting a team, he'd be the first player assigned. It'd be great. He'd be the best cheerleader ever because he doesn't fucking play the game.
I know, and I you know what? I feel for him. I really do, because there's obviously something about what he is doing, whether it's his running style, something. It's just not working for him, and I absolutely feel for him. But this Sharks team, looking through it, I think I really like Toby Rudolph as a player.
Yeah.
He's so dangerous when he's just, following in behind the halves. So, hopefully he gets a little bit of quality ball, because even when the Sharks played the Panthers a few weeks ago and I was at that game, he was the most dangerous player on the field.
Yeah.
And that's saying something when you think about it. Like, he was actually more dangerous than Wade Graham, certainly more dangerous than the halves, and the fullbacks. So I think he's underrated, I think. And I think he's underrated because of the fact he's in the Sharks team. Yeah.
And you know what? Grand final winner last year with the New South Wales Premiership for the Newtown Jets. I actually called his games a number of times last year.
There we go.
Because I'm a superstar commentator. I don't know if I told you that.
Yes, you are. Next
game, 7:55 p.m. The sixth place Rabbitohs take on the second place Storm. It's an interesting game for the Storm in terms of the Rabbitohs are in pretty red hot form at the moment. The Storm are in red hot form. And I don't know, I have a feeling about this game. Like, I'm still tipping the Storm, but I feel as though the Storm will see this as a test of, like, if they can really smack the Rabbitohs, they're in a really good place. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I actually think this could be a really good arm wrestle of a match. It really could go either way. I think the Storm will get over the top of the Rabbits. I just think that they've got too much kind of class in terms of some individual brilliance. And they can just create something from nothing. And we saw that last week. I mean, look, they were playing against a fairly dour Manly team, but Addo Carr, Olam, Pappenhausen, they were just electric. It was, some of those backline moves were joyous to actually watch. And I really hate saying that about Melbourne, because I find their playing style to be cumbersome. But interesting matchups. I like Alex Johnson being moved to fullback, obviously with Latrell out. I think that's a really good move, and it'll be interesting to see how Damien Cook goes. I think he's been a bit quiet all season. And I think he needs to start stepping up. He's been better in the last couple of weeks, but certainly needs to start, stamping his authority on some of these games.
And he's up against the great Cameron Smith, who I think it is absolutely hilarious that we're seeing people in the media completely lose their shit, and Cameron Smith doesn't even have to do anything. Like, I think he'll play next year. But if he doesn't, he's had an amazing career, and you can't take anything away from him. And like I heard when I was going to get my Porto tonight, I heard them on the radio, like whinging about Cameron Smith. Oh, what's he going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And then that, how would I describe him? Joyless cunt, James Hooper, was going on and on about basically, well, if Smith stays, he's being he's being what's the word that he was using? God damn it, I forgot the word.
Selfish?
Selfish. That's the one.
Oh.
And then he said that if he leaves, then he puts the Storm in a really bad place. And it's like, so no matter what Cameron Smith does, you're just going to be upset either way. James Hooper.
How would Smith leaving put the Storm in a bad place when they have both Brandon Smith and Harry Grant ready to go?
I have absolutely no idea.
I'm sorry to argue a very reasonable point here, but I feel like that's a stupid statement.
Yeah. Well, I'm willing to put it down on paper. James Hooper, you're a dumb cunt. Shut up. And, you know, on 2GB, they were saying what Cameron Smith should do is go to, like, the Brisbane Broncos and play a coach.
Oh, I heard that.
Oh, so dumb.
And then there was going to the Titans.
Yeah, who already have coach and two pretty good hookers themselves.
Correct. It was interesting. I did hear, I think it might have been the Matty Johns family podcast. I heard a snippet where Cooper Johns has said that if Cameron was to stay, they would need to lose somebody, as in the squad would need to lose somebody. Now, that would make perfect sense, obviously. Didn't really say anything else. And I think, you know, Matty then said, oh, you know, are we putting you in a bit of an awkward spot here? And he was like, yes, you are. I thought, oh, good. Let's ask your son a question that's putting him in an awkward spot. But I think that he can, I mean, really, as with anybody, they can do whatever they like. And if there is an offer on the table, then he can choose to think about that offer for as long as it is on the table. So, and if there is no offer on the table, what's the problem?
Yeah, there's just so much hysteria around it, and the cool thing is that you know that Cameron Smith, I think he's going to be the sort of player that when he's played his last game, he's just going to sit down with the media and say, "Oh yeah, that was my last game."
Yes, Wally style.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Be a gangster about it.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Okay, so Saturday afternoon, and this is some must-watch football. It is the 16th placed Bulldogs hosting the 13th placed Titans. Just to all those Titans fans, aren't you lucky that you're locked in the coach for a further couple of years? Still in 13th place. Going so good. The Bulldogs, what can you say about them? They're terrible. The Titans probably should win this game, but I'm just going to make sure that I'm busy when this game is on so I don't have to watch it. What do you reckon about this one?
Yeah, I am very thankful that I will actually be busy at this time so I don't have to watch it. The Titans should get this done, being the number one team in Queensland this season.
How hilarious is that?
It's great. I did hear during the week that Ash Taylor has said he wants to stay on and he's happy to take a pay cut to do so. You know, super motivated, et cetera, et cetera. And I just thought, oh, you are a waste of space, my friend.
I reckon. How about that? He wants to take a pay cut. He's talking about it like the season after he didn't turn up all year and just pocketed $1 million. Like, wow, good stuff.
Yes. I mean, it's atrocious. And it got me thinking, and I did see one of my Twitter peeps actually raised this on Twitter this week, last week, at some point. Why don't we see more performance-based contracts in the NRL?
Because no one would sign them.
Well, I don't know. I think if you're, you know, think about Ash Taylor. I just want to be in a good group and I really like what Holbrook's doing and I'm happy to take less money. Well, how about you still have the ability to earn $1 million, but this is how we're going to do it for you. And so you're going to get 500 base. And then, you know, for every win, you earn X amount. And then, you know, if you can get us here, then you get X amount. I don't understand the problem with this.
Look, I think in theory it's a good idea, but honestly, I don't think anyone would sign him. I guess the
No.
other problem you have too is just say, I mean, it's a level of uncertainty for the club as well. So say you cap out at 10 million bucks, right? You cap out, but then they go on some like they have a season like the Panthers are having.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden they owe Ash Taylor like $2.1 million.
No, but it's still, that's what I'm saying. So you have to declare that, it's $1 million, for example.
Yeah.
But realistically, all that's guaranteed is the 500 base. And then it's earning the rest up to. So you're still only you're still saying, the contract value is
Yeah.
up to $1 million, and that's what you would put on the salary cap. You wouldn't put more than that. But they've got this problem now anyway when it comes to representative football, because most players have those clauses in their contracts anyway to say that if they play representative football, then they will get a bonus from the club, and that needs to be put on the salary cap as well.
Yeah, like I tell you, the problem with having a system like that in place, you would only be paying Ash Taylor 500 grand, but he's still going to count $1 million against your cap.
Not if you don't spend it all.
Yeah, but if you don't spend it all, then you've basically kept $500,000 aside for if you do spend it all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
They could look at it though. I really think that there's something in it.
You
Potentially
know what?
for maybe some of the I shouldn't say bottom tier players, but the base level players who are on the minimum wage. The
Crap
fringe
ones.
first graders.
Terrible.
Yeah. Bottom feeders. No,
Yeah.
I didn't say that out loud.
That's great. So Bulldogs, basically. Bulldogs players is what you're saying.
Correct. All of
Bulldogs
them.
play.
Broncos, all of them.
I know that there's a lot of younger players that when they come into the league, a lot of them are still on deals where it's like if they play a certain number of first grade games, it gets upgraded and stuff. But
yeah,
like I just can't see too many seasoned first graders taking up an incentive based deal.
No, not at that high end.
No. Like the Titans just need to get rid of Ash Taylor immediately. Like as soon as he's off contract, they should just stop returning his calls and everything because he's been the biggest waste of money in the history of Gold Coast Rugby League.
That's saying something.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so the next game, 5:30 p.m. Saturday afternoon, we've got the 12th place Seagulls, whose form is just atrocious at the moment. They're taking on the 11th placed West Tigers, who this week threw a legend under the bus, and I don't understand why.
Yes. Firstly, I think Manly will win this game. I think they will bounce back. I actually think that loss from the Panthers has crushed the soul of the Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
So they should get it done, despite the fact that they're, no Joel Thompson, and then that's him done now in the NRL, which is quite sad. And Ruben Garrick's out, but I don't even know what to say about the Tigers and how they have gone about the Benji situation is deplorable. Mm-hmm. And I get that, this is the second time that he's left the Tigers and, so on and so forth. But, to not even allow him the dignity, the grace, afford him the opportunity to make a decision himself or announce a decision himself is so poor. Yeah. And it smacks of Justin Potato being a dick.
Look, there's something going on at this club and it's falling apart really quickly. And it feels to me like there's a lot of stuff being said to the media that is about focusing the media and the fans elsewhere. And I think, look, it would have taken nothing to sit down with Benji Marshall a month ago and said, Benji, we love you, mate, but we just feel like it's time to move on. We're telling you we're not going to do anything for a month, but we're not signing you, okay? And in that month, and Benji Marshall is pretty straight up dude, you know. He would have been the first to come out and say, look, I won't be here next year. But to do it the way they did it, it just seemed gross to a club legend who was played for unders for so long. And then on the back of that, they had all of this talk about, and it's just media, you know, bullshit at the moment, but it's like, oh, they had an honesty session and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, why are we doing all this focus on the coach and some of the players when they need to look at the CEO? And I'm not saying it's the CEO putting it out there, but how long does he stay in place and not get the focus put on him when he's the one that's been bringing in some of these players on ridiculous contracts? He's the one that ended up having a coach walk out on him. He's the one that's brought in another coach who it feels like has now been white-anted. I don't know who by or why, but it just seems like a mess. And at some point, you've got to look at the CEO and say, hey, dude, you had a good run at it, and that's been nice, but piss off.
Yeah, I mean, I have no time for him whatsoever. There is clearly stuff going on, and whether Michael Maguire and the way that and his style is, you know, unearthing a lot of this and it's bubbling to the surface, is probably a good thing if that's what's happening. Can I say the term honesty session pisses me off? Because does that mean that every other day of the week they're not honest with each other?
Yeah, they're all lying to each other the whole time.
God, it irritates me. You know, it's one thing to be like, you know, it's a bit of a come to Jesus moment, but to turn around and say, oh, it's an honesty session is just absurd. The honesty session does need to be had behind closed doors with Luke Brooks. And I know that Michael Ennis was particularly scathing about Brooks and whether he actually fits in this team moving forward, given that he's delivered nothing in 8 years.
Look, I've been saying, I said at the start of the year that if this team doesn't start playing well this year, Luke Brooks might look to play at another club. At this stage, I don't know what club would want him because his form has been absolutely atrocious this year.
Terrible. I agree. And, you know, being at the ground on the weekend, nothing, just went missing a lot of the time, you know, and, you know, I think if I'm trying to be fair, is that because Benji's on the field? Is it a similar situation to, you know, last year with Nathan and Jimmy Maloney where, you know, Nathan has even come out and said he kind of felt like he had to kind of bow to Maloney. He was the more senior player, etc. You know, is that a factor? Who knows? You know, is it a case of saying, look, we'll give you 1 year without Benji, but that's it? Because from memory, didn't he win the Dally M player, like halfback of the year in a season where Benji wasn't at the club? Was that before Benji came back?
Might have been the season before, hey?
So there might be something in that theory. However, he still didn't put them into the finals that year.
Yeah, and look, that's the problem with the West Tigers is that if there are people that don't like what the coach is doing, like these are losers.
Yeah,
they're all losers. I don't really like what. None of them know what it means to be winning footy games. So I don't really care what the players are thinking. And look, if I'm Michael Maguire and I've got any bloody, you know, 24-year-old footballer that's never played a finals game sitting in front of me saying, oh, I'm not really happy, I'd just say, mate, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that's what an honesty session is when the coach tells you to go fuck yourself.
Quite possibly. And I mean, the other thing, and I know that you and I were messaging through the game on the weekend, they've got to fix their dummy half problem because there is no Harry Grant next year and they're basically being kept in games by him. Yep. So they've got to sort that out real quick.
Yeah, and knowing the West Tigers, they'll start looking at that at about March next year.
I was going to say January. I was going to be quite generous.
I'm sure there'll be a retired. Look, they might get Cameron Smith. Maybe he can come in
Oh,
as a captain
I'm
coach. Eh?
surprised Hooper hasn't written that, given he's a Tigers man.
Yeah, well, he obviously is like anything that Cameron Smith does, James Hooper will hate. But James Hooper's a glorified blogger now. How about that? So,
Wow.
he is. He is. What's the definition of a blogger? It's just someone that writes shit.
Is it?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay, so 7:30 p.m. This is the game that stops a nation.
Match
I
of the
know
round.
I know that you've been looking forward to this game for minutes.
Minutes.
Absolute minutes. It's
Yep.
I feel like we need Matt Nable to do a 20-minute voiceover
Oh,
for the Roosters taking on the Raiders down there in the nation's capital. It will be freezing cold and Sonny Billy's coming off the bench and all eyes are going to be on him, I'm told.
yes, apparently there is a Sunny Bill cam, and I don't need that.
No.
That is fucking ridiculous.
Mm.
And I actually don't care.
Neither do I.
I don't understand. Uh, sorry, I understand the hype. I shouldn't say that I don't, because I do. I understand the hype. I would think that Trent Robinson would hate the fact that all eyes are on the Roosters at the moment because of Sonny Bill. I think at this point he would probably prefer that Melbourne, Panthers, Raiders, maybe even Parramatta, get a bit of heat.
Mm-hmm.
But all that's happened with Sonny Bill coming back is all eyes are on the Roosters. So, he'll have to be managing that aspect. I'm actually going for an upset. I reckon the Raiders will get this done.
Well, you know what? They're playing down there in Canberra. They've got a 35-year-old dude on the bench that hasn't played a rugby league game in months. And even when he did, he wasn't very good, despite talking about how good he was training leading into that contract. The Raiders aren't in very good form. They're both on 22 competition points. This game could decide who ends up in the top four, and that's pretty important. I think I tipped the Roosters from memory, but this is a 50-50 game, and all of this talk about like the ridiculous amount of praise that the Roosters are getting at the moment for how they're playing, it's just so over the top and stupid. They're in fourth place on the ladder. Like they're playing okay, but they're not playing like world beaters, that's for sure.
No, I agree. Raiders are paying $275.
Ooh, that's good.
That's juicy.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think Nickel Clockstad needs to have a solid game. He's got a couple of really stupid errors in him.
He cut his hair.
Well, I know he's lost all his power. And yeah, same with Rapana. Rapana's trying to just do too much all the time. But in terms of, Papali, mate, he'll just carry that team on his back. And I think that they'll expecting bigger things as well from Whitehead. He was a bit quiet on the weekend.
He was, yeah.
So hopefully he'll aim up. But yeah, I think close tussle. But yeah, tipping Raiders.
Yeah, it's like it's just one of the. I think it's for me it is 50-50. As I said, I think I tipped the Roosters, but I think the only thing that is for certain is that John Bateman will be a dickhead during the game.
Oh, of course.
I say so now. Sunday afternoon, we have everyone's second team, the 9th place Warriors. They're up against the 3rd placed Parramatta Eels. And the Eels need to play well to win this one. The Warriors are starting to play pretty well. They're not setting the world on fire, but they're doing pretty well. And the Eels, their form is a bit so-so at the moment. And they've lost Dylan Brown too for almost the whole season.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Warriors win. And not just because it's against Parramatta. But I would love to see them make the finals. That would be just the absolute Cinderella story of rugby league for a very long time to come.
Yeah.
So it would be amazing. I think part of the problem for the Warriors is the players that have actually been really putting in and getting a bit of success for them aren't able to play this week, given that they are players on loan from Parramatta.
Yeah.
So obviously no Alvaro, no Katoa, no Jennings. But yeah, look, Parramatta should get it done, but they need to put in a solid full 80-minute performance, even if it's not a absolute cricket score.
Mm-hmm.
They need to play for the full 80 minutes because that's what's been lacking in the last few weeks for them. Similar to Luke Brooks, Mitchell Moses. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, he's not playing that well at all lately, is he?
No, definitely not. Absolute flat track bully.
Yeah.
Which, and frankly, the whole team are that way. Led by Mitchell Moses, I must say. So, yeah, it as I said, it'd be good to. I actually think Chanel Harris-Tavita is playing better than Mitchell Moses.
Yeah, definitely. And
Less
who would have
structured.
thought? Who would have thought that the best young halfback at the New Zealand Warriors just needed to be played some games, and he'd just keep getting better and better. Whatever. I don't know why Stephen Kearney didn't do this at the start of last year, but as soon as Kearney left, he's come straight back into the side, and he's doing exactly what you expect of him. He's done this in his entire career. Give him game time, he plays great. This game is summed up by the two fullbacks, I think. You got the great Roger Tuivasa-Sheck taking on that other guy, and I just think RTS, he's going to run roughshod over that other guy.
I would love to see it. A conversation with some people earlier this week was less than complimentary for the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, the general consensus was put him in another team and does he get the praise, the accolades, et cetera, et cetera? And the answer is no. We all know it.
Mm-hmm.
So, word on the street is, he could potentially be in line for some kind of Blues jersey. I mean, that would just do my head in.
Yeah,
Even the fact that he was 18th man at one point last year was shocking to me.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I'm hearing whispers that at the moment, kind of in and around discussions. So, which I'm just so surprised about.
He blow dries his hair for certain, hey?
Oh, that is some wicked hair though, hey. You know what? He's been taking lessons off Des Hasler.
Yeah, see, I feel as though, right, like Des Hasler has an unnatural head of hair, right? It's like
for a man of his age, absolutely he does.
It is lush, it is thick, and so I feel as though it's just a natural phenomenon with Des Hasler. Whereas with him, like with that dude, he definitely blow dries his hair. It's like when you see Trent Barrett, and it's like, we all know, man, you don't have to hide this anymore. You use eyeliner, and that's okay.
Correct.
There's nothing wrong with that. This is 2020. You can do what you want.
Just own it.
Yeah, he should just come out and just say it. Just say it. I like wearing eyeliner. It makes my eyes pop. Okay? So, 6:30 Sunday evening, we'll all be just chilling at this point of the week, and we have the 14th place Cowboys taking on the 10th place St. George Illawarra Dragons. Some talk this week that Ben Hunt might end up back at the Brisbane Broncos, which I think would be beautiful.
I did hear that earlier today, actually. I think the Dragons should get this done. Famous last words. I've got to say, I look at their lineup and I just wonder what Tristan Saylor needs to do to actually get a proper go. Like,
Yeah, like this season's a rivals.
yeah,
Why aren't they just saying, hey, we know what we can do with this written off team. Let's chuck some youngsters out there and see what they can do.
absolutely. Especially with an interim coach, who, from all reports, actually won't be appointed into the full-time gig anyway. So what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for him because I actually think Tristan Saylor is a better option than some of these other guys.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. He at least when he is on the field, he's trying to make something happen.
mm,
Like Adam Clune, but what does he do?
well, exactly. He goes missing.
Yeah, so I just don't know why he wouldn't play. I'm not saying play Sailor at halfback, right? But at least chuck him in at 5'8". Play
Mm,
Norman at halfback if you want to do it that way, and just see what Sailor can do. And like have 5 games you can watch him play, and they haven't done it. And I don't know why these teams don't do that. It's crazy to me. I agree with you. The Dragons should win, but how can you have any faith in them?
oh, no faith. The other thing I heard tonight was potentially, you know, Griffin, most linked coach to any job that's on offer.
Yeah,
So apparently he's the front runner
yeah.
for this Dragons gig. And he might seek to try and bring James Maloney back from
Oh,
Catalan to the
really?
Dragons. I mean, no,
Yeah, that seems like a step backwards, doesn't it?
doesn't it?
Mm.
I just no, no, no. Um, is there? Oh, I was going to say, is there an element of a culture piece that he could bring? But from all reports, he's the world's biggest pest. So
Yeah.
I don't know whether you want that want
You,
that culture, but
I,
yeah.
I think the thing you have to worry about all coaches, every single coach, is that they have players that they are comfortable with and players that they don't need to worry about. And the problem with that sometimes is those players get old and the coach doesn't let go of that.
Mm,
And you see it all the time where, Ivan Cleary did it when he went to the West Tigers and he had some former Warriors players who was like, oh yeah, I was pretty happy when he played for me and stuff. But those players were well past their best. And I
mm,
think every smart CEO has to be able to say to their coach no. And if you can't say no to your coach, then you shouldn't be the CEO. And I can see where Griffin would say, look, Maloney was pretty good for me at the Panthers. And it's like, yeah, that was going to be 3 years ago at this point.
hmm.
And, we're looking forward, not backwards. And, that is a worry if that's the case that he's looking at Maloney. I don't doubt that Maloney could come back and play all right. But, man, what the Dragons need is to sort out their junior development system and start bringing through some youngsters and buy smarter because
Yeah.
their purchases have been pretty shit over the years and they need to just do better all round as a club. It's not going to be a quick fix in terms of bringing in Maloney and all of a sudden everything's roses.
No, that's right. Um, how long do you think that? Well, this season I think it'll continue, but into next season, how long do you think the Cowboys will persevere with Holmes at fullback and um, the hammer on the wing? Surely they've got to swap them.
Yeah, look, if I think depending on who ends up being their coach, like I just think Holmes isn't a fullback,
It's
and
Todd Payton, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. Well, that's who they're saying is it's going to be. I don't think he's agreed to terms yet, but
Oh,
it
right.
seems like that's where it's heading. Um, I would just sit Valentine Holmes down and say, look, the previous coach thought you're a fullback. I don't think you are. We know you owe you $1 million, but you're going to earn it on the wing, and that's that. If he doesn't like it, he can hand the money back and go elsewhere because it was a good idea, but he hasn't played enough football this year. He's been very inconsistent, and there's just a better option there at the club, and they've got to go with that option. and that's unfortunate for Valentine Holmes. But it's professional sport. He knows that better than anyone else.
Yeah, no, well, that's right. And I feel like the forward pack for both teams, but we're talking about the Cowboys, they're just lacking something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, they're out of dummy half. They're atrocious. They're absolutely atrocious. Like their dummy half players, I think it's fair to say the worst in the league. And then you've got someone like Drinkwater in the side who's playing at 5'8", who catches maybe 25% of the balls thrown to him, which is a problem. Then like their halfback is in and out of the team with bloody injuries and head knocks and all sorts of shit. They've got the best forward in. Look, they've got one of the best forwards of all time in their side, and they're wasting his best years. And there's just so many problems with this Cowboys team. Like I said this to Andrew, every time Justin O'Neill catches the footy, I'm like, holy shit, Justin O'Neill is still getting runs in the NRL.
I know. It's so strange. It's so. As you were talking, you said his name. I was thinking how he is still getting a gig. I will never know.
Yeah, it feels like were his best years 2012.
Earlier.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, and he just offers nothing.
Well, the same thing you said about Josh Maguire as well. I mean, and he just does some dumb things on the field, which, ends up costing meters because, it'll be some kind of ridiculous relieving penalty for the opposition. And they'll go 40 meters downfield and then score.
Yeah, and like you can add Gavin Cooper to the list of what the fuck? What year is it again? Because Gavin Cooper's done. He's finished. I can't believe they've named him in the side this week. I guess at some point you got to go with who you've got, But man, they've got some players that they need to get rid of out of this club and should have done years ago. Jake Granville, he's another one. He's in he's not on the bench. He's in the what they call the reserves on the NRL website. He's 19th player. But man, there's so many players in this team they just need to get rid of. Kyle Felt, we're done. Kyle Felt, okay? We don't need to see anymore. Go away. There's going to be cheaper, younger players than you who, they're not about to give birth to Sivo's baby. So, yeah, there's a lot of problems with that team. And look, the Dragons have their own problems. They're probably more fixable, but still, this is going to be a shit game. Who's going to watch this Sunday night?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, what are your thoughts on reverting back to the 4 p.m., 6:30 p.m. from having the 2 and 4?
I tend to like the 2 and 4, but I will say this: when that 4 p.m. game finishes at 6 p.m. and I know I've got to wait a half hour and there's another footy game on, I'm pretty relieved because I do need some more rugby league at that time of the night. The only problem is you got to sit through half an hour of Fox Sports bullshit and like Hannah Hollis saying like breaking news every 30 seconds. So I don't know. I would prefer if that 6 p.m. Friday night game was on at 2 p.m. on the Sunday, and then you have the 6:30 game. But I think that this is all for the pandemic year where we're not really getting anyone through the gates anyway. So, I think that just because it's purely for TV at the moment,
it seems strange to me that they've done it the way that they've done it in terms of when people, the middle of winter, in the middle of lockdown for us, it's cold. You're not really, you can't go out, and even if you could go out, you're not because it's cold. That's when you put a 6:30 game on.
Yeah.
But not as you're in spring, as we have more freedoms and liberties. You can still go to the pub and watch it. I get that. But you're more likely to potentially be out and about to a degree. You don't stick it on a 6:30.
See,
That
here's
to
the
me
thing.
seems a bit strange.
I'm a bit different to that. Like, unless
Yes, because you don't go out.
yeah, I'm still trying to avoid the COVID. I really am. You know what my next trip out is, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to see Grizzly Adams turn up. It's going to be really weird. Yeah, it's going to be. And by the way, anyone that's listening, I'm going to the footy with Nadine on. Oh, people can just wonder when. Hey,
At some point in the future.
yeah, some point. So yeah, it's I see your point of view, but I'm the sort of person that likes to at that on a Sunday evening. It's got to be something pretty special for me to be outside the house.
That is true. I'm with you on that.
Mm.
I will admit that Sunday night, it's, don't ask me to have plans.
Mm.
Don't make me go out of the 5 kilometre Penrith bubble radius.
Mm-hmm.
It's not happening.
There's no
So I
need to
do
leave the
understand.
Penrith bubble anyway. We've got everything we need.
Well, that's true.
We've got a stadium. We've got the best football team on planet Earth. What else do you need? We've got a Krispy
Nothing.
Kreme.
3 Portos.
Yeah. We got the Noodle Hut.
The Noodle Hut.
Penrith Plaza. You can get everything there, including COVID.
Casual contacts. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh shit. So yeah, that is round 17. I think we did justice to that. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I like it. Getting excited for finals though. It is good to be able to literally see finals.
It is, isn't it? It's and it's like I am now looking forward to when we get the JJ Gilton and Shield. I feel like it's going to be in that Parramatta game. Hey, I don't know why. I feel like they're going to give them the Shield during that game, and then on to the finals and just I mean they should call the. You know how every year the finals have like a theme. I think this year's theme should be inevitability, and it's all it is. It's like they just have the words inevitability across the screen, and behind it, it's just all Panthers football.
Not one-sided or biased at all.
No, just factual.
I was, I caught some of the Sunday footy show, obviously on Sunday last week.
Oh man, that's a shame.
I know, but they were doing a piece around the similarities from the 03 Panthers team to obviously this year's Panthers team. And they were talking about how obviously young squad, both squads were quite young, quite inexperienced, et cetera, et cetera. There was something else that they mentioned as well. Can't remember what it was. It was all the same kind of comparisons.
Was it getting an experienced hooker in?
I don't know. I was kind of not paying attention.
Yeah.
But then they had Scott Sattler on Zoom or whatever they use, and he said the one thing that nobody has brought up, which I actually think is a far more interesting point, is the father-son piece. And I was like, oh, of course. 03 had Lang and Lang, and this year it's Cleary and Cleary. I was like, why don't people talk about that?
That's a good point, hey?
Yeah,
I never even thought of that.
Because that's a really intriguing similarity, because any squad can be young at any point in time. And they did do a bit of a montage where they were showing, awesome tackles. So they obviously showed Sat's tackle from the grand final, and then I think they showed a tackle that Cleary, one of Cleary's defensive efforts, which took a player out of the sideline. And so they're showing a bit of montage of that kind of thing. But yeah, when he mentioned that, I thought, oh, I really like that one because I've not heard it before and it's really different. And it also takes some of the narrative away from the fact that, oh, Ivan and Nathan, and it's like, well, hang on, it has been done before and it's been okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it was, quite fascinating in that respect. I kind of stopped listening when Sats stopped talking.
It's interesting though because I look at the only things that I can say between the two teams are back in '03 we did have a core of young players that come through and they basically filled in a lot of the spaces in an okay first grade team. Like we had some okay play, well, not some okay players. We had some very good players, but overall the team was just okay. And by having all of those young players come through, and they started in 2001, and they come on strong in 2003. It really filled the team out, and they become a great team all of a sudden. Whereas this team, I feel as though it is younger across the park, and I don't think we've got the seasoned veterans that Panthers team already had in place. Like I look at Pridis, Lang, Girdler, Gow to an extent. Whereas this Panthers team, I mean, you've got Sauce on the wing. Would you say that Coruscant is a...
Yeah, Coruscant, Tarmau.
Tarmau's definitely, you'd put him in there, but I feel as though a lot of the better players and the players that they rely on in this team, they're actually the Panthers have brought them through, and I just feel like it's a very different team from that '03 team.
Yes. No, and that's true as well. It's going to be, very, very interesting. It was also interesting after last week's when there was a few, things doing the rounds on various either print or radio or TV, whichever. And it was basically everyone doing are the Panthers the real deal? The same rhetoric for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
The amount of people who still said no, and are rating the Storm and the Roosters above is surprising. And with some of the arguments about injuries, and I'm thinking, what? What? And the travel thing, I know that's been hammered this week.
Yeah.
I know everyone's kind of picked up on that on Twitter, and I know Andrew was particularly scathing about that.
Yeah, he was.
That particular article.
Yeah.
But, as I replied to somebody on Twitter, why is it their fault? They've made the best of the opportunity that is in front of them. It's, it is what it is, and they've just dealt with it better than others, with or without injury. Who cares? So that's really fascinating that a lot of these experts, using that term very loosely, are still just totally focused on Roosters and Storm.
Well, and a lot of those dummies were saying, the Broncos will be one of the teams to beat this year. Like it seems like every year they say, oh, the Storm and the Broncos, and it's like whatever. But the funny thing I've noticed this year in the Panthers being a great team is that every so often someone will try and have a go at the Panthers or Panthers fans, and we literally couldn't give a shit. Like, it's like, yeah, whatever. We've had some sort of charmed run or whatever. Oh, yeah, we've had no injuries. Okay, whatever. We're leading the comp by, however many points. We don't even know anymore. It's that big a fucking gap. So, I just think the thing that would happen is when we win the premiership, there will be some goof, and it'll be some alcoholic goof that will come out and say, oh, it's not a real premiership winner. And
asterisks.
Yeah. And no one's going to care.
Exactly right. Nobody will care. And if anything, this will be the most memorable premiership. Everybody will remember who wins everything this year across the board.
Yep.
It'll be because it's the COVID year. Who won the Melbourne Cup? Who won the AFL Grand Final? Who won the US Tennis Open? Everyone will remember it.
I want to ask you a question. When they have when they win the Grand Final and everyone's celebrating, how willing are you to get COVID to celebrate? Because I am getting
COVID.
COVID.
Vaccine by that point. No, you'll have a mask. It'll be fine.
I will, yeah. You're giving me a mask, which is very nice of it. But I would, because I didn't do it in 2003. I'm gonna drive to Panthers. I'm gonna like
Drive? What? Uber it? Or are you going to drive and then leave the car there
yeah.
for like 3 weeks?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I could probably leave my car there. I noticed one of my headlights was out today. It fucking pissed me off. But yeah, that's a good point. But I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna get in before they fill that place to capacity. I'm gonna like lick the face of strangers. I'm getting COVID so good. Probably get like all sorts of things that night. But it's gonna be a good night.
Yes. I mean, who was it? I think I heard Gerds actually the other day
Yeah.
saying, and I think we said this a couple of podcasts ago, that it's such a shame that this team is doing so well in this environment because
Yeah, we were DMing about it.
yeah, and he was saying, whilst Penrith is still in Sydney, it's still got that semi-country town kind of feel to it. It's just that far removed, that kind of what we are just saying about the bubble.
It's its own place.
Yeah, and he was saying, the community would be rallying around this team, and the fact that they can't kind of high five them in, when they're out having breakfast, or they can't just go and watch them train, or they can't fill the stadium, would be hurting both the club and the community. The fact that, that's not able to be done for them. So, and it was interesting hearing, the likes of Gerds, and Sattler said it as well the other day, to be fair. It's interesting to hear them say that and speak about it with such emotion as well. Which is especially, neither one of them live in the area, but clearly quite still connected. But yeah, it is a shame. It really is a shame that, no sporting team will have the celebration that they deserve this year.
Well, I think maybe you were saying to me that what they should do is social distance down Mulgoa Road.
Yes, it was me.
Yeah, and then just drive I don't know, Utes or whatever down fucking Mulgoa. I think that would be the best. I would love that.
How good would it be? Well, that goes back to when the Swans won the 2005 grand final, and they had the ticker tape parade up George Street.
Oh, did they?
Yes, because I left work and went down there to partake. But they could do that on Mulgoa Road.
It would be amazing.
Could you imagine? That would actually be next level.
What would be okay? So say you did a premiership winning drive through Penrith. It's like, I feel like it would have to go up High Street, then down Mulgoa, and then where would you turn? Trying to think. I think if you turn, and I don't know what the name of the road is, but that road that's got that big set of traffic lights, and one way goes up towards the A9, and the other way goes down towards the fucking river. It's just beside Panthers.
Yeah, Jamo Road.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Jamison Road.
Yeah, see, I feel as though that's a different part of Penrith. They're peasants. But, but yeah, go up that road. Oh, it'd be so good.
Yes. We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Oh, what do you mean wait and see? I'm already booking it in.
Well, you're booking in the flat top utes, are you?
Yeah. You know what? I'll pay for them out of my own pocket. And then
Is this what my Patreon is paying for?
Yeah. That's what it's paid for. I told you the money's going for good use. And the instead of the Penrith City Council worrying about the fucking dams flooding everyone, what they should worry about is where we're going to have the premiership parade.
Can I tell you, I reckon Stuart Ayres would be all over that.
Yeah.
He would actually be, I reckon he'd be chief party planner.
He should.
100% he would be.
If he wants to keep his job, what he needs to do is get us a new stadium, first of all.
He's not in charge of stadiums anymore.
Oh, isn't he? What's he doing now?
No, I don't know what he's doing now, but he's not stadiums anymore.
Oh, damn it.
I
Who's
know.
doing the stadiums now?
I can't think of his name. It's escaped me.
Anyway, Stuart Ayres can get on the phone to that guy. So Stuart Ayres, right, get us a new stadium. We want exactly what Parramatta has, because why not? And then, yeah, a premiership parade, Mulgoa Road, centrepiece. It'd be beautiful.
It would be. It would be very good.
I can't wait for that.
4 more, or no, not, how many more weeks? Well, there's 3 more weeks till finals.
Yeah, and then another, because we'll win the first game, then we'll have 1 week off, win the second game, and then we win the grand final. So, like, what's that? It's like
So
7 games
weeks.
away? 7, 8
7
games
weeks,
away?
yeah.
Yeah. And then, the best part is then we go, if they play the World Club Challenge, and we'll get those soap dodgers to fly over here this time, right? Just put them in isolation for 2 weeks. Doesn't matter where. Just give them a cake of soap and some fucking, get them some teeth whitener. Why not? Let's be good to them. And then we'll flog the ever-loving shit out of them at Penrith Footy Stadium.
That would be good.
Yeah, it'd be so good. So I've got all of this planned.
I like it. There's a lot of thought that's gone into this.
Yeah. This is what I do instead of planning podcasts.
What? We planned this. Shh, don't tell people our secrets.
Well, we planned a time to do this podcast.
That's okay. It was still planning and there was a production meeting.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, we should wrap this up. So thank you for coming on once again. I love doing these pre-round podcasts with you. We didn't do it the last 2 weeks because we were both busy, but
yes,
it's good to get you back on for this one.
Thank you. I really enjoy coming on.
Awesome. And everyone, go to manscaped.com, put in the code NRL. It's our exclusive code, and get yourself 20% off and free shipping on some manscaping equipment. Get your equipment looking its best with Manscaped, because if you do, she'll just have to. Once again, thank you for coming on. Have you got anything you want to plug?
Your Patreon?
Yes. Go to patreon.com/League Freak. That's my Patreon.
Andrew's
Nadine,
Patreon.
Yeah, Nadine is a top-level contributor to my Patreon. I really, really appreciate that. So thank you very much. Go to patreon.com/RL Project. That helps with the digitization of rugby league history, thanks to Andrew, the real deal Ferguson.
The real deal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've been calling him the real deal Ferguson for a long time, hey?
I like it.
Yeah.
Sounds very NBA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's got this American basketball feel to it.
I don't know. I do watch a lot of NBA. So maybe I've stole that from someone.
I like it.
I was going to call him Diesel, but no. So he's Andrew Ferguson. I call him AI. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening. We'll put out another podcast very soon, and we will both catch you probably next week.
Yep, later.